Welcome to the second episode of the Managing Happiness podcast or Managing Happiness show. We are not quite sure how we're going to name it yet. And I'm here with my good friend David Braun. I've been knowing David
Hello,
for
everyone.
maybe 7-8 years or so.
Yeah, I think so.
David is the CEO of TemplateMonster, a template company based here in the Ukraine with an office in New York as well, I think.
Right.
And yeah, you do a lot of other stuff than just TemplateMonster, so
Right.
maybe talk a little bit about your business and
Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this podcast. And I really like what David started with managing happiness because I think that is very, very innovative idea and very needed for all the entrepreneur community. We started Template Monster 15 years ago, so long. So
quite
we
some time.
consider ourselves as dinosaurs, in the internet industry when it was like sort of a wild west in the internet. And Template Monster quickly, like in 3 or 4 years, became number one template provider. So we serve over 1.5 million customers all over the world. And of course, it's like we grew up too fast, I would say. Like we are right now about 450 employees, and that's a lot of things, on your plate. And at the same time, because I moved to Ukraine, and in Ukraine, the war started, so I became sort of a civil activist and a volunteer. I set up the military crowdfunding platform to help to fundraise money to help people who suffered from the war. And actually, we were like number one platform in the Ukraine. We also like do a lot of charity stuff. We have a big charity fund helping wounded soldiers using the biotechnologies to kind of grow their bones,
which is
something-
actually pretty amazing. We were at a fundraising run yesterday in Kiev. It was a pretty big event. And I met a few of the soldiers who were treated with this technology, and it's really pretty amazing. Like, 15 centimeter of bone missing, like being shattered by a shrapnel, being replaced, and the guy, walks and uses his arm, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So lots of things to do, always lots of energy to spend actually. So and lots of nice people to talk to. So the beauty of I think this kind of businesses is like you always meet smart guys, smart people around the world, and like you do something together and you grow yourself with them.
hmm So, and about, so that's a little overview about the business. How about family?
Of the family, so during these 15 years, I had a divorce. I have a kid, 12 years old kid from the first marriage, and I have a second marriage with 3 kids more. I don't plan to have another marriage, by the way. So the family life is used to be tough because I couldn't really find the balance, work-life balance, as many entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it's very, very
it's
common,
very common.
for all of us. The first divorce, the only divorce. Wha- in retrospect, looking back, what could you have done to prevent it? Was it just being too focused on work?
Well, it's kinda typical
growing apart. or-
Right. It's kind of typical story when you graduate from the university. You're 18 years old, or you just like graduate the school and go to university, and then you meet the girl, and it's like a first love, and then you get married.
Mhm.
So those marriages don't take long, whatever practice you use. But I think that still, when you start working, you're getting a new profession, you're getting new connections, you start traveling and so on. It's very hard. So you kind of start living in a parallel universes, and you come back and sort of you came to the past, and you are working in the future. So this kind of two-time universes. Sometimes like when you are don't do anything to unite them or synchronize them, it basically
It's very
falls
easy
apart.
to grow apart. Yeah, and in managing happiness, there's a few exercises to get aligned and to kind of find your shared vision, and kind of really know what you both want out of life, and then it makes it much easier to be aligned and
Yeah,
not
in
grow
common
apart.
families, people don't talk about this, right? So they kind of got married, and like you got a first kid, and the wife usually completely focuses on the kid, to grow the kid, to go to kindergarten, and school, and so on, and then you focus on the work, and then then you start getting your own friends, like they don't even know that you are married or whatever, like so you go for parties or whatsoever, and it's like splits. and then it's very hard to like to
Brings back
synchronize and
together,
brings it
yeah.
back. Yeah.
It's
So
also
it's a continuous work to actually synchronize it continuously.
and also with the growth, I think you have to, when you make these personal growth spurts and your partner doesn't make this personal growth spurt, then it becomes really hard, and it sometimes takes some time to catch up. It can be a real problem. I'm not saying that every when you meet in high school or that these marriages cannot last. I'm together with my wife for 20 years now, not married, but we also met, but we was a conscious effort to always resync and find our North Star. So in retrospect, what could you have done to, or do you have any ideas what you could have done?
Yeah, I think that the basic stuff now, after 15 years of management experience, I would know like you have to do some sort of meetings, like where you discuss the strategy, like, okay, what do we expect mutually from this marriage? How do we see our future, like in the nearest, I don't know, like 3 years? What are our goals? What are our plans? And if you see it's like they are too distant from one from each other, first it gives you like a warning sign, very, very in advance, so you can work on that. Or if you see that it's not gonna work, then you probably do the early exit, which is also good, like especially for women, For a man, like you are 45 or 50, you still, like attractive, husband. For women, especially with the kids, the early you recognize, like it's not working, it's probably the better for a woman, so she can find, another husband.
Yeah, it's actually an interesting point.
Like the market value for women, like it ends.
I mean, it's terrible, but it's
it's terrible. But you sorry, like for being too honest. But like women actually tell this. When you talk to a woman who got divorced, it's like I would want to make it earlier, because otherwise, like you kind of minimize the chances to get a new marriage.
Yeah, when I was sitting down with my wife to come up with the concept of managing happiness and teaching this to others, one thing that I was really worried about was that by when people that are not really a match sit down and kind of figure out what they want out of life, they sit down and talk about this, and then it turns out that they're not a match, then this relationship might
instead
break
of
and fall
helping
apart,
people, like you can start
staying together, bringing them apart. But what you said, I think it's a good thing. When you find out let's say you find a business partner and you kind of set up the business, and maybe like in the early stages you find out that it doesn't work. You have like maybe different ways of time commitments to the business or whatever. It's like it's probably much better to just like mix it right there, and versus going too far. Cool. Let me see what else do I have on my question list. Oh yeah. What the headline of the question is, how do you drive people nuts? And then how do you drive people nuts in business and also at home? Okay. And if you have found a solution to this, or how do you plan on mitigating it?
Well, I can definitely tell how I drive nuts people at home. I'm just sitting with my Facebook, like on my phone all of the time, so kind of missing what my wife tells me or my kids, and it drives them nuts. So how we manage this? We have an agreement that when we are eating, like there's a dinner or lunch if it's a weekend, I leave my phone somewhere distant from me, because it really like kind of irritates people. You talking and then you start looking for something. Yeah. For as for the business, I cannot really recognize any pattern except probably, I'm very bad at planning, so I don't keep my calendar. So I always have some events overlapping one each other, and then I have to manage this. But it's more like not internally the business, more externally. Like I'm speaking often at many conferences, and I have issues sometimes. Like the same conference is like I got an agreement, like to speak happening at the same time. So that's why I'm trying to work with that, using some services like Google Calendar and synchronizing this. Yeah, that's
maybe
the only
it's
way.
time to you have 400 some employees, maybe just get an assistant that
I was thinking about it, but I can't really figure out how do I get an assistant and make sure that he's working full time, because like I have like only a couple of things like to delegate, so probably the delegation is an issue. Although the delegation of the working, stuff, like for example, like I form the strategy and the execution of different managers and department managers, I have no issues with that. However, with this personal stuff, I cannot. Maybe I have a internal fear.
Fear of
Yeah,
sharing
that
too much?
when you share it, like so the assistant becomes you.
And maybe it's not the worst thing, to grow somebody who can, take big parts of what you're doing over
Yeah.
at some point.
I don't know. Maybe I need to try it part time. We were thinking with our COO,
Mhm.
like to share an assistant for together and see like do some regular stuff with her and see like how it's working.
I mean, I'll do it. It's like I think it's very important also to have more time for family, that you
Right.
delegate proper, and that and also for, even if you have this assistant who's only working 30% of the time and the
Yeah.
rest of the time is just sitting there and twiddling their thumbs, by not missing certain whatever business meetings or things that you've agreed to, I think it's going to be well worth it in terms of from a monetary standpoint.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Right.
and okay, and with the being on the phone at home is also a big issue for me. And we kind of worked it out. I put my phone on charging, and people in the business have my home phone number, so they can call me. So because when there's a Slack message or something in the business, then you very easily get sucked into.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. And in terms of drive, what drives you? Do you have a personal vision statement?
Yeah.
Do you-
I'm ashamed actually to say that I don't have this formulated. When I talk to you about like these techniques, I quickly realized that, and none of my friends, by the way, have a personal mission statement written. So probably you when you start talking about it, you will figure out something. But I think that it's a very great practice to actually write it down, because when you write, you kind of rethink about it and you check every word which is there, so you don't have to have extra words that are not necessary, in the personal vision statement. What drives me, I think that I really enjoy helping people. What I really see, like when there is a small business and you kind of give him a couple of ideas, like, and they become more successful, or they become bigger business and so on. I really like kind of feel the pride that you were part of it, part of this process. And also, like on TemplateMonster, we help lots of small businesses actually to start doing something online, and it also helps. And when you see, like, okay, 5 years ago the guy bought a template and now he's like a large business with 50 employees and doing some stuff, it really
feels
like
good, yeah.
it feels good. Yeah. So I really like helping other people, and if you can make money in this way, this is like the dream job. So you don't even think about that this is a job. This is like a lifestyle which gives you money, which gives you a joy to see other people grow. I think it's perfect.
You're also helping small businesses grow. You're also working on a new project that makes it very easy for small businesses.
Yeah. We
to
work on this site builder tool, which we think that we will kind of revolutionize the way people make websites, because usually the people were making. So you have to do, like, you have an empty canvas and then you start adding header, footer, and the blocks and so on. And people, if they have no knowledge, most of the small businesses don't know what the great site is. So we decided that we make a concept which includes everything, and you just create websites by removing the things that you don't need at the moment. So I think that this inverse logic should kind of
make it easier for business.
make it much easier for the business.
When you plan on launching it?
I think that September we will have a full open project. Right now it's like in a private beta. So September is our deadline.
Okay, cool. It's called Weblium. I'll put a link in the show notes.
Thanks.
I think we're almost through, because we want to keep it at under 10 minutes. Maybe we're already over, I don't know. And final question. What's a good question for the next show that I have on the guest?
Yeah, that's a good idea. So I'm gonna pass the ball to another one.
Yeah.
And I really wanna, since you introduced me the ideas, the concepts of managing happiness, I started to think if it's really for the people like a purely logical thinking like you do, or it is for everybody? Because from the business point of view, it sounds super logical, you know, like, and I would do it. So I would like to see the feedback, how people, if they employ any of the tactics that you list in your course in their personal life, and what is the result. So I would like to know it.
Okay, cool. So I guess the next guest has to be someone who's taken the course, but yeah, should not be too hard. All right, cool, man.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.